Jackson Radio Show.
Greetings and salutations. You are tuning into the Disgruntled Millennial portion of the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. My name is Brett Segal, the Disgruntled Millennial, broadcasting to you live from my safe space down here in northern Florida, where I'm free from your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, and patriarchy. And while the left is out there making period blood art and urine art to protest Donald Trump's fascism, he's a fascist. Donald Trump is actually doing a lot more for these people than they actually know. Donald Trump has been slashing the regulatory machine. He's basically been taking a wrecking ball to the regulatory machine. Now, what do I mean when I say the regulatory machine? I mean the red tape that stops businesses in their tracks. The red tape that forces businesses, owners, thinkers, writers, creators, inventors, businessmen from engaging in the free market. Okay? The government, for the longest time, about 100 years, especially since FDR, the demigod of the left, especially since FDR, the left has been trying to stick its nose in between our business, our relations. If I want to trade with someone, if I want to invent something, if I want to start a business or create a product of some sort, the government wants to stick its nose in, wants to get in between me and my customers and tell us what to do. They want to tell us how I can make my product. They want to tell us what products I can make. They want to tell us who can buy what. They want to tell us what I can charge. They want to do everything from the very, very beginning of the product, from the very idea, from the inception of the product to the release of the product on the market. They want to tell me everything. They want to tell me what I can do and what I can't do. And that is not and never has been in the spirit on which this country was based. Now, the leftists want to say, well, if we didn't have massive regulations, well, then what's stopping from business owners from putting razors in their food, from giving bombs to children? What's to stop them from giving alcohol to children or for car companies to make cars without seatbelts? Or for car companies to make cars without brakes, for that matter? I don't have to get into the nitty-gritty of all that. But let's just say the free market has a way of ironing these things out. If you want to stay in business, you have to sell a product that is worth selling. Now, some people throughout history have stood up to these regulations, to the regulatory machine, one of them being Ronald Reagan. But it turns out that Donald Trump is doing far more to prevent massive regulations from being added to our government than even Ronald Reagan himself. What's going to be amazing to me is after the 4 or 8 years, hopefully, of Donald Trump's presidency, the liberals are going to have to engage in the biggest backpedaling campaign that they can possibly imagine. Because what they said is that the sky was going to fall, that the economy was going to tank, that we were all going to be living in the poorhouse because Donald Trump is president now. And it turns out that it's the exact opposite. Now, despite the fact that Donald Trump has done a number of good things, including pretty much defeat ISIS, he defeated ISIS in record time, which makes you wonder what Obama was doing all those years. He defeated ISIS in record time. He's been a blessing for the economy. Is he going to get the kind of credit from liberals that he deserves? Probably not. I doubt it. They're just going to continue with this. Trump is an evil Hitler racist type of Nazi. They're going to continue to dig their heels into the ground until they bury themselves in their own misery and their own hatred and their own self-resentment for not being able, after 8 years of Obama, for the liberals not being able to do the things that they said that they were going to do to mend racial tensions, to create wealth in the economy, to create jobs, to create peace around the world. They're going to have to live with their own failures, and they're going to have to live with the success of a man who they claimed was evil. Now, speaking of high art, Ayn Rand, who is one of the most marginalized authors of all time, who has sold so many books and has made an impression on so many people, but has gotten the shaft from the mainstream media. She's gotten the shaft from left-wing culture. She's gotten the shaft from right-wing culture, too. But she made a lot of great predictions about what the regulatory machine was like. A lot of predictions. That's what the book Atlas Shrugged is about. The book Atlas Shrugged is about a massive regulatory machine that basically stuck the government's nose in between business owners and their customers. And what happened? Well, I'm not going to spoil it, but let's just say, what would you advise Atlas to do, the god that holds the world on his shoulders? the men and women of mind, the men and women who create things. The men and women who created this microphone, the one that created the device that you're listening on, the one who created the house that you're living in, the one who created all of the beautiful, wonderful technologies that we have that make our lives better, our air conditions, our airplanes, our boats, our everything. What of them? What happens to them when the government sticks its nose into their business and tries to tell them what to do? Why should they continue to produce things for us? And this is one of the things that business owners like Donald Trump and conservatives like Ronald Reagan, this is something that they understood. That is not, regardless of what you think, it is not the government's job to step in between and prevent you from engaging in your right to act on the free market. It is not the government's job. It is the government's job to get out of the way and let you engage on the free market unshackled. Unshackled. Oh, well, Brett, what are you saying? Do you think that people who make food should be able to stick razor blades in their food? No, of course not. That would be absolutely, that is what you call fraud, and that is what you call criminal, okay? There's a difference between fraud and making a subpar product. There's a big difference. But that doesn't fall under the regulatory machine. That falls under contracts. That falls under when you sign something and you say you're going to do something, you do it. That's a much different situation than just blanket telling everybody what they can buy, what they can purchase. There are certain laws that are made to protect people, and there are certain laws that are made to cripple people's ability to create and produce products and put them out on the market. Some people like to conflate the two things, but they're really not the same. There's a big difference. What gets me is how jealous these liberals are. They're so jealous. They're so jealous that they don't have the mental wherewithal to actually create something on their own, that they have to go around telling other people what they can and can't create. They are so jealous of people who earn money that they think that with a flick of a wrist, that with the flick of a pen, that they can take it away from you. Not just take it away from you, not just take away your money, but they could take away your right and your ability to create and to produce. I've never invented anything in my life. But you know what? I have the philosophical wherewithal to understand what that means. To understand that I stand in the shadow of greats. My life, my ability to bring you this show depends on so many different aspects. It depends on this microphone, the cable that runs into the machine that converts my voice into a digital signal, the signal that the software that allows me to produce this show, and then the internet, the computer that sends the information off, and the broadcasting gear that sends it out on the airwaves. I understand that I stand in the shadow of greats, and I don't want to stand in any of their way. I want them to be left to create, to produce the best microphones, to create the best cables, to produce the best computers. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. He's getting the government out of our way. And liberals should be thanking us for it. Because it's only because of the Industrial Revolution brought on by the freedom that they hate that the technology is even available to spout off about their disgusting, insidious policies that regulate our economy into the ground.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.